Tory Lanez has been denied a second trial. So he filed a motion and he asked the judge to give a new trial. We'll talk about what the basis of that was, because he's facing a minimum of 9 years in prison. And this is following the conviction of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, and this was back in July of 2020. And the sentencing range is between 9 years and 22 years. So we still don't have the sentencing in, but nonetheless, during a hearing, Deputy Los Angeles County District Attorney Alexander Bott stated that Lanez's actions, quote, deserves serious consequences and could easily have killed a person, aka Megan Thee Stallion. So we've been covering this since the beginning, and this was when Megan really was trying to keep this hush hush. She wasn't trying to get on socials. And then, Tory via his people and also him at some point, I mean, they were just kind of poking her. They were poking her and putting out these things and saying these things. And so finally she got on a live stream. And I remember we even commented because it looked like she just had gotten up in the middle of no makeup, I gotta
Put it
say,
out there. She wasn't gonna say anything, and I don't. And that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. That's the part. Like, he did it to himself. He did it to himself on a lot of different levels. We could talk about the psychology of maybe his actions later or whatever. But when you commit crimes, like, keep them quiet. Just common sense stuff. Like, what are you doing? Like,
well, so
you're
so real
lucky.
real fast for those of you who don't know, in
She's a
the incident,
star.
what happened is that Lanez, he fired a handgun at Megan Thee Stallion at her feet, okay, and he demanded that she dance for me, right? And so initially, again, like we said, she had tried to keep it private. So then they go through this trial. He loses, right? He gets convicted, and so this is a very common tactic. So if you lose, right, and you get convicted, that you will quickly file a motion with the same judge and you go, hey, judge, I want a new trial. And you ask for this based on you think something, bad happened, right? So there was a compromised juror, there was evidence that was let in that shouldn't have been let in. So he did file for this and the judge said no. So he was denied a new trial. So usually that's phase one. Phase two is then the convicted will appeal to the higher court. So that's probably what's going to happen next. And what he was saying is that he's like, there's evidence that was admitted that shouldn't have been admitted, and of course the judge is going to be like, no, we did everything by the book.
If you're gonna own a gun and you're gonna have a gun on your person and you are going to, um, you know, that's going to become a part of your life. That is a huge responsibility at whatever level you are of wealth or status or whatever it is. And to that seems like something that in his head at the time, maybe he thought he was just fucking around or being just kind of a jerk. Like, he thought he was playing games. He thought he was in Back to the Future 3 and shooting Marty McFly's feet up, doing the dance routine. And he didn't really think about, not excusing it, but I'm saying it's an incredible responsibility that you can't be doing. You can't be playing games with a gun. If you're pulling out a gun, it's literally to defend yourself, and that should be the only reason why you pull out your gun. And I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of irresponsibility that goes on sometimes, and when you're drinking and when you're partying and when you're doing your thing, and I don't know.
Well, and we actually saw that there
themselves.
were images
Yeah.
that were released, when she went to the hospital. So there were clearly injuries right on her feet. But in any case, there was a little dissonance in the chat, which is fine. I totally appreciate when we have people who have different perspectives on this. So what Tory was arguing with his motion for a new trial, which is to say there was evidence that was wrongly admitted. So then what the judge did, the judge went and looked at the disputed evidence and said, well, even if it had made it into the trial, because guys, this happens all the time, right? As trial attorneys, we have to duke it out before the start of trial to basically say this stuff needs to come in. And sometimes they'll say, no, it can't come in because it's too prejudicial, right? So stuff that like, video and audio and all this stuff, sometimes it doesn't get in because it's so disturbing or gross or whatever it is that it's going to be so prejudicial to the person who's trying to, survive. So in any case, what the judge said is, well, I looked at the evidence again. Even if I had let this in, it wouldn't have made a difference. You still would have been convicted. So that's why the judge said, nope, you're not getting a new trial. We'll continue to follow this story, so be sure to subscribe.